of T. Oh, let's try that again. It would help if I turn the mic on. Let's try it again. All right. 3, 2, 1, and let's go. All right, you are checking out Impact Showdown live, covering Fallout from tonight's episode of TNA Impact Wrestling as seen on Spike TV. For those of you looking for actual TNA footage, you might want to go on ahead and head on over to ImpactWrestling.com as they have video highlights, photos, the works, or you can check them out on YouTube at TNA Impact Wrestling. I definitely want to hear from you guys that saw tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling. A lot of stuff that we got to talk about. Good stuff at that. A lot of substance. You can interact with me during the course of this episode by posting your comments right down below, or send them my way on Twitter at the RCWR Show, Facebook at Infinity One Productions. All right, and we'll definitely get to what you all have to say in the later part of the show, and also talk about some TNA headlines that you should know about. Little bit of a interesting story as far as why I'm a little bit late coming on here tonight, but because I'm coming on here late, it does not mean that we're going to be going into OT. We're actually going to try to make this be a very short, sweet episode, because I don't know how many of you all are NBA fans, but we got the next game that's on ESPN right now, and hey, shout out to the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. How about those Wizards? So close, yet so far away. But you know what? Give them props. They haven't gotten this far into the playoffs since 1979. And honestly, I think in about maybe 3, maybe 4 years tops, they get a couple of more right pieces into their stable. I think they can go all the way, possibly. That's just my honest take on that. Let me know what you guys think. But we're talking about wrestling right now. And man, my God, you know, tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, from a writing standpoint, it really delivered. It really gave me a lot to look forward to for a lot of these taped episodes / episodes of Impact Wrestling that's going to be coming up in the next few weeks. And, man, where do I even begin? First off, I did a hell of a good job dodging the spoilers, and I just want to give you guys a friendly reminder. You know, I am very vocal about spoilers. I'm not for it. I'm against it. I don't care anything for it. I would actually prefer to see Impact Wrestling when it happens. And I know there are a lot of you guys that like to take advantage of the spoilers because you're trying to figure out, okay, well, should I check out next week's Impact? Is it worth checking out, or should I just skip it out? There are those of you that just want to know what's going on. You want to feel like you got your hand on everything. You're in the know-it-all. You're in the loop. You know what's going on. And I can kind of respect that to a certain extent. But let me just make this perfectly clear for anybody that's going to be checking this out tonight. I'm going to give you a fair warning. If you give any spoilers whatsoever in the comment section, okay, then this is especially going out to the long-time subscribers, viewers for our shows, okay? If you give any type of a spoiler, I'm going to quietly ban you. You're not going to be able to comment anymore. That's just going to be it, all right? There is a really good example of what I'm talking about. Now, I gave you guys a couple of weeks ago my idea on what I thought was going on as far as this whole new Mike Knox stable. And remember, guys, I had said something along the lines of whatever this new stable Mike Knox has, the name of it, the Menage, whatever the hell the name is. But I basically said right before they made its debut, I said, we got some type of a circus-type stable that's getting ready to make its debut. I wonder what the heck this is about and how that's going to coincide with Mike Knox and crew getting ready to make their debut. And somebody thought that maybe they weren't doing any harm. They had gave a spoiler that the Menage or whatever, that was Mike Knox stable. So for me, it kind of took a little bit of the fun out of it when I finally saw these guys make their debut, as I really wasn't able to really fully take it in, knowing that this was Mike Knox stable, because once I heard, oh, it's Mike Knox stable, then that kind of gave me an idea of what to expect as far as his stable goes. So, you know, it's little stuff like that, and I can't stress it enough. Think before you post your comment. Most importantly, think about the other people that unlike you, may not have read the spoilers, and they're just checking out the comments down below, and they're trying to see what everybody is saying, and maybe they want to interact. You know, I can't stress it enough. Think before you post. If you're not really sure, maybe you shouldn't be posting it. If you really are rattled in the brain like that, you are more than welcome to maybe hit me up on Twitter, or maybe send me a private message and ask me what it is you'd maybe like to share with the YouTube community. That way I can tell you whether or not it's okay to post it. But be warned, you post a spoiler, you're going to get blocked. I love you, but that's just the way I'm going to be doing it, because for all the people that check us out, I know there's a vast majority that don't like spoilers, so I'm trying to do my best to protect them from seeing spoiler results, okay? On that note, let's talk about Impact Wrestling tonight. I love how things had kicked off, man, as we saw the TNA World Champion Eric Young. He came into the ring, and he basically was calling out MVP for attacking them on last week's episode. And we saw MVP from a remote location backstage just basically tell Eric Young the reason why he did what he did. And it was so interesting the way that, writing-wise, it was set up for MVP. He basically said, look, yeah, I'm in an executive high-powered position. I control the day-to-day operations of Impact Wrestling, but you know what? For a guy like me, that's never enough. It's all about staying hungry. It's all about getting the absolute power. And for MVP, the ultimate power is having that TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And he revealed to EY that EY kind of put a little bit of hiccup into his plans, yet at the same time had sped up the process, and that unfortunately EY was nothing more than a pawn in his master plan. He actually said he had a little bit of sympathy for EY, but that nonetheless, as far as EY getting his hands on MVP, that just wasn't going to be happening, because MVP was going to be surrounded by security. And he did tell EY that if he somehow managed to get past security, he had a nice big old fist that was going to be waiting for him. So that was pretty much setting the tone up right there. EY, though, he told MVP straight up, he said, look, you want to fight, you got it. I'm willing to fight you on this episode tonight, main event match for the TNA Championship. MVP basically coming at EY with the whole be careful what you wish for. And, I mean, that was pretty much it. MVP, he was done. I mean, he cut one really memorable promo. I mean, it's been so long since I've seen MVP on television that for a brief hot second, I almost forgot how good he was when he was a heel. And, I mean, honestly, he just does that better than a babyface, quite honestly. I mean, he cut one very, very memorable promo on EY tonight. It was actually so damn good. I remember actually putting out a tweet about it during the broadcast tonight. And special shout out to Impact Wrestling. They actually had retweeted a couple of things that we were saying throughout the night. So thank you very much, Impact Wrestling, via Twitter, for doing that. And we actually saw EY. He ran to the backstage area looking for MVP. Eventually, he did find him. It took a couple of segments, but we did see him cross paths with MVP. But it was right after MVP had crossed paths with the greatest man alive, Austin Aries, as Austin Aries had some heated exchange of words with MVP, basically saying, you're going around here, you're throwing your weight, you're bashing people, and look at you, talk about being the biggest hypocrite. And MVP, he just had this smug look on his face as he was just trying to brush off Austin Aries. But we actually saw MVP take a cheap shot at Aries. Or was it the other way around? In either case, we saw security rough up Aries. MVP saying, no, let him go. And Austin Aries had beat him up real quick and sent him along his merry way. After which we saw EY attack MVP. And these guys, they were pretty much fighting like outside of the arena, but it soon found its way back inside, back into the ring, where MVP had got the one-up on EY and say, you know what, as far as your main event match for tonight against me, yeah, I'm going to accept that. You're on. So considering the serious number that MVP did on EY, you couldn't help but wonder to yourself, how is EY going to be defending his championship? As much as I would like to talk about that main event match, just marinate on that for now for those of you that did not see Impact Wrestling, and we'll actually come back to that in just a little bit. Your host right here, Black Avenger Lee Sanders, welcoming you to a new Impact Showdown live, coming at you for May 15, 2014, episode 103. Can you believe that, folks? 103 episodes and counting. If you are enjoying our recap and review so far, give this piece a thumbs up. If you give it a dislike, go that extra mile. Let me know why you disliked it. We'll try to see if we can work better on our next episode. And hey, feel free to share this episode. You can do it a number of ways: Google+, Facebook, retweet, one of the many ways you can spread a good word about us. As this episode is being sponsored in part by our good friends at Big Sky Wrestling, where there is no limit. Check them out, BigSkyWrestling.com. Also on Twitter and Facebook at, you guessed it, Big Sky Wrestling. Let's talk about some action that came about from tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling. We saw a handicap match between Magnus, Brawl, and Willow. Brawl was trying to have Magnus really dig down deep, get sinister, get medieval, if you will. And we just saw Magnus. He really just seems like he isn't too keen on this new direction, or old direction maybe, that's coming from Brawl. As at one point we saw Brawl introduce a weapon into the match to basically knock out Willow, and Magnus didn't want to win that way. He refused to do so. We actually saw Willow pick up the victory over Magnus by a roll-up, made that quick exit. Brawl giving him a serious evil eye look like, can't believe he just did that. What happened to you, man? You're really coming off very soft. And if you've been paying attention to this storyline the past couple of weeks, overall, that's the general vibe that you can take away from this, as Brawl's whole thing to Magnus is, what happened to you? What happened to the old you? Basically, Magnus, where you are right now, you're just soft. And maybe that's a result of being over here in America. Who knows? But I must say, this is a very interesting story arc that's going on right now. I wonder how far TNA Creative is going to take this. I wonder if they could maybe take it as far as to introduce a pregnant Mickie James. For those of you that aren't quite familiar with that connection, why I'm mentioning her, Google's your best friend. Do some research. But for those of you that know your wrestling, you know what goes on in some of these wrestlers' personal lives. I think you kind of see where I'm going at right here. I think the main question is, would something like that be needed? Or can these two guys just do it alone? Honestly, I think it would be nice to throw Mickie James in there. But, hey, time will tell. But I love the continuation that's going on between Magnus and Brawl, who, by the way, Brawl signed a multi-year deal with TNA Wrestling. So it looks like this guy is going to be around in the company for a very long time. Of course, he was over in WWE's NXT developmental program and everything. He was participating on that roster, and I don't know why things ended the way that they did, but you talk about a great acquisition for TNA and picking him up. We saw the knockout match. I got divas and knockouts mixed up. It shows where my mind is right now. Stone Cold Alicia Fox. But anyway, yeah, we saw a great knockouts match between Gail Kim and the beautiful and the lovely Velvet Sky. We actually saw Gail Kim pick up the victory. Angelina Love doing a little cheap shot behind Gail Kim at the end there. You know, I'm actually loving the fact that Gail Kim is right back there. I love the fact that she's right in that picture again for the Knockouts Championship, knowing that on the horizon we're going to be seeing the return of Taryn Terrell. There's somebody else that's missing that hasn't been on the roster in quite some time, and I'm not talking about ODB. I'll let you guys marinate on that and see if you can come up with some other names of people that we haven't seen in a while as far as the Knockouts division goes. But I love what's going on right here with the beautiful people as they're now feuding with Gail Kim. I like how they kind of just got away from the whole Madison reign and her title reign. I think we can all kind of be in agreement that, you know, as far as Madison reign goes as a TNA champion, if you had to pick the two, Like, as far as, well, would you rather see Velvet Sky or Angelina Love? I think we can all be in agreement. Angelina Love definitely has the ability. I just really, to follow up on what I said a couple of weeks ago, I'm a little irritated how every single time we have a knockout that leaves the TNA promotion, they come back a couple of months later or a year or two later. They come back, and all of a sudden, before like the month is over with, they become the Knockouts champion rather than build a proper program. I don't know if it's because of the way that these new contracts are signed or what. It just seems like perks, if you will, for people that are just able to come back and they just get skyrocketed to the championship, you know. But I love the fact that the beautiful people are back in full motion. Loving it. I can't complain about the beautiful people right now. As the way things are looking, Gail Kim, she's going to need some serious assistance in trying to balance everything out with the beautiful people. I mean, with girls like Madison Rain, Brittany, maybe she might be able to get that assistance. Who knows? What would be even more like kick ass, though? I personally wouldn't mind seeing a series of weeks go down where Gail Kim just keeps getting her butt handed to her by the beautiful people, which would thus set up a return for Taryn Terrell. And you just think about the last time Taryn Terrell was in TNA Wrestling, her and Gail Kim were going at it big time. If I'm not mistaken, guys, wasn't Gail Kim the Knockouts champion the last time Taryn Terrell was there? So, I mean, I just think that would be really awesome to kind of almost see everything kind of come full circle between those two girls and everything. What do you think? Sign off, put your comments below. Let me know what you think. I got some Christopher Daniels news I want to share with you guys, too, in the later part of the show, as we did a really great interview with him. So make sure you stick around for that, as I have some quick notes I want to give you with regards to that. We saw what I described best on social media as a scene from a Rob Zombie music video, as we had saw Knox's stable come out, and this time around it was Crazy Steve that was in action. He took on Kazarian. And in case you guys haven't heard, Kazarian had actually wrapped up all his commitments with TNA Wrestling as of the taping of their current TNA One Night Only pay-per-view event that's going to be coming out in a few weeks. So, of course, what you saw tonight was pretty much taped maybe like 2 weeks ago or something like that. But it was kind of a match at first, but then Crazy Steve just started doing this off-the-wall stuff, doing body splashes on a balloon, and it was just really bizarre and crazy. I couldn't help but chuckle as I was seeing this. I mean, I could appreciate this new dynamic that TNA was trying to bring to certain characters of Mike Knox's stable, but I just couldn't help but say to myself, God damn, you know, if I'm one of the people that is watching this at the Orlando Studios taping here or whatever, I see this, I probably would have got up and left, especially knowing that I didn't have to pay. I just couldn't help but really question that spot that they did. I wish it would have been more wrestling, less theatric. It was just way over the top for me. I get that. I get that they were trying to drive home that this guy is really crazy and everything, but at the same time, it really would have been nice to see some type of a match go down, because you can still have a match while being crazy at the same time and seeing a proper finish. I had actually saw the referee's pants get dropped down by Crazy Steve. Ref just said, you know, this is too much. He actually had threw the match out, awarded the victory to Kazarian by a DQ. So whether or not that's like the last time we're going to be seeing Kazarian, who knows? Daniel's definitely done with Impact Wrestling, at least the way it's looking right now. But then again, I'm thinking back to what Daniels had said to me. Yes, what Daniels had said to me in our interview, and I believe there might be a little bit more in the coming weeks, tape-wise, of some stuff that Daniels may have done with TNA. But it was just a weird spot that they had right there. But hey, Rebby, I love that leg stretching that she's doing there, man. I mean, it makes me think of some good times that I had back in the day. Keep that on the hush. Other than that, we had saw James Storm, the Cowboy, pick up a victory over Ken Anderson. These guys are continuing their little spaffle that they had from a couple of weeks ago. It doesn't look like these guys are done, not by a long shot. It looks like these two are just getting started. I can't really feed too much into this particular match. Although I will admit, overall, when I think about the card, this match was definitely high up there like that because I was actually doing a lot of multitasking tonight. So if I'm not going all in depth on some of these matches for you guys, don't pout. Just know I was doing a lot of multitasking, especially as far as the Wizards game had went. But what I can go in depth about is the ridiculous storyline that was being stretched out all throughout the night as Bully Ray was on the hunt to find Dixie Carter. It led to him last week appearing at her home as he got her address, and this week we see Dixie Carter. She's in her car, and as she's coming up on her property, she realizes that Bully Ray is there because he's got spray painted tables all around saying Dixie fears Bully. So you're seeing all this and you're saying to yourself, what the hell is going on here? Okay, so we've got trespass and vandalism. Why isn't Dixie Carter picking up her cell phone, calling the police and or her husband? Like, are we supposed to like not remember that Dixie Carter is married and that her husband is he's a pretty young dude. He looks like he might be in his early, maybe mid 40s, and he has a nice stocky build. He seems like a big dude. Last we had saw him, looks like he would be able to hold himself well in a one-on-one fight. I don't know about a handicap, but he looks like he could hold his own very well. And if you're not familiar with Dixie Carter's husband, I believe his name is Seth. Do yourself a favor, do Daily Motion or YouTube, and you can definitely see him around AJ Styles, Claire Lynch, AJ Styles, you're the baby daddy or whatever. You can see him like, actually no, right before that, let me rewind it even more. Right around the time where Bad Influence was accusing AJ Styles of sleeping with Dixie Carter, you can actually see the husband show up right around that point. So are we like supposed to forget that? And are we supposed to forget that like in real life, cops would be called, she'd be calling her husband, depending on where he is, he would drop what he's doing and he would come right over there. You know, it just, I had a really hard time processing this. It just, I know we're supposed to like, as we're watching some of these things go down, we're supposed to forget about the realism and everything, but I mean, I really did not feel a true sense of threat for Dixie Carter. I really did not come away saying, oh my God, what exactly is going to happen to poor Dixie Carter as her home was trespassed and you know there's a little bit of vandalism going on. What exactly is going to be happening right here? I just had a hard time buying into it as Bully Ray pretty much helped himself to some wine, beat the crap out of Rockstar Spud, and he just continued to wait for Dixie Carter. So my whole thing is Dixie Carter knows what's going on inside of her home as she sees the tables that say Dixie fears Bully. She doesn't think twice to just maybe sit there in her car, call the cops or drive away, you know, go to the next city or whatever. No, instead she goes into her home and Bully Ray crosses paths with her and basically tells her, look, if you want me to leave you alone, you don't want me to do any harm to you, just admit that you fear me and we'll call it even. And just as she was getting ready to say it, we saw Ethan Carter III attack Bully Ray from behind, pretty much just whacked him upside the head, knocked him out unconscious. But the way things just ended right there, Dixie Carter basically saying, I fear no one. And that's pretty much it. You know, I would have settled for that ending with Dixie Carter saying that, but at the same time, Dixie Carter goes, Ethan, call 911. We're going to get this son of a bitch locked up. And then talk about a great cliffhanger for next week's episode, you know what I'm saying? And all throughout the week leading up to next week's Impact, They could have did some 365 stuff on social media, showing Bully Ray going to jail and maybe explaining what had happened with him as far as maybe being able to get a hold of a lawyer or whatever. I just think if you're going to kind of go that realistic, if you're going to go into that uncharted territory that many of us would kind of deem taboo, then why not really push the envelope? That's just my whole thing. Let me know what you think about that, but I just thought that segment was silly tonight. Sonata had defended successfully his TNA X Division Championship against T. Grey Uno. Still sounds like a damn energy drink. I don't care how fast you pronounce his name. And who was the other cat that was in there? DJ Zima Ion, a bandaged up Zima Ion. I guess he's still trying to sell the injuries from what had went down from a couple of weeks ago, maybe mainly at the TNA Sacrifice pay-per-view. Maybe that's what's going on. Who knows? Love Sonata, though, man. You know, this young man, he's got a bright future ahead of him. And let's not forget, like, right towards the end of summer, we got the Destination X free pay-per-view event that's going to be coming up. I believe it's going to be a free pay-per-view event. Don't quote me on that because they might actually go back and make that be a pay-per-view event. But I'm hoping it's going to be a free event for Spike TV, as the way Mike Tenay and Taz kind of build up Sonata, they're kind of giving you the impression that he's probably going to be holding on to that X Division Championship right up till Destination X, and that he may be looking to become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. I don't know about you guys, but I think the future is very bright for him. Looking at the current roster right now, hey man, I wouldn't mind seeing a really cool match go down maybe between him and EY or any other combination. Is he ready for the TNA Championship? At this point right now, as we're talking, I don't think he is. But you know what? Maybe 2-3 months from now, maybe it'll be completely different. Who knows? But I love TNA's continued smart booking of Sonata. And here's another thing. Was I the only one that was noticing the fact that, oh snap, it's a triple threat X Division match, and then you think about the fact that technically we saw a three-way dance with Willow, Brahm, and Magnus. I just couldn't help but have a little light chuckle and say to myself, who's booking this? Bruce Pritchard? Because if you've checked out the RF Video Shoot DVD of Bruce Pritchard that came out recently, we actually reviewed it too. You can actually check it out on our channel here. So check it out when you guys get a chance. I just thought that was funny because that was one of the things that was talked about was the X Division in Bruce Pritchard's Shoot DVD, and he was explaining why every single time you usually saw an X Division match or whatever, it was always a triple threat. So I couldn't help but kind of take a little chuckle at that and say, are they talking with Bruce Pritchard? It just seemed kind of odd right there. Other than that, other action that came about from tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, I called it, guys. I told you guys several weeks ago, pretty much when we had saw the whole match go down. What was that? At Sacrifice, I believe it was, where we had saw Mr. Anderson take on that creepy bastard Samuel Shaw in a committed match. I told you guys they were probably going to just let that go ice cold, and maybe the direction they were going to go was maybe have the psychiatrists and the doctors maybe get together and talk about Sam Shaw's current status, if he was almost getting to that point where he could be released at his own cognizance. I hope I said that word right. And if not, I apologize. But we kind of saw something like that come into play as we finally saw how he was doing. He's still in the straitjacket. He's in a room by himself. And apparently he had got a visitor. That visitor, folks, was Gunner. Yes, it was Gunner that had paid him a visit. Gunner just basically telling Shaw, hey, I came here because I think you really need somebody to talk to. So, you know, just kind of home in on that. For those of you that might not be able to connect the dots right there, that angle doesn't make sense to you. Just think about it from this standpoint. Gunner, he was in the war. He was with his comrades. A lot of his friends, they were either shot and killed. They came back missing some limbs, or they came back from fighting the good fight overseas, and mentally they just weren't there. I think that's the connection that they're kind of going with as far as having Gunner try to reach out to Samuel Shaw and try to be there for him and everything, and basically say to him, hey, look, man, I understand where you're kind of coming from. I've kind of been in those dark places where you're at right now, but there is hope. I can kind of see something like that happening, and ultimately we will see Samuel Shaw get released and maybe see Gunner continue to try to help him, but eventually Samuel Shaw will turn on Gunner, thus setting up a pretty nice long program between the two. I'm all for it. I'm on board for this. I don't know about you guys, but I'm on board for it. I can't wait to see how it continues to progress, but just giving an early preview, like early vibes, that's what I'm picking up right now. And I'm pretty sure that if you guys really kick back and you marinate on it a bit, you would agree that's the direction that they're kind of going in. But yeah, I'm really liking what's going on right there. Main event match, we were teasing you guys about it. It was EY taking on MVP TNA World Heavyweight Championship. My God, man, where do we even begin with this match? I mean, I must admit, I enjoyed the matchup. But you know what? I think there's some people that may have been listening to what we had to say about this current rivalry going on with MVP and EY and we talked about this as early as this past weekend, I think. If not this past weekend, definitely Tuesday night, we talked about it. I said, in order for this to really work between EY and MVP, you're really going to need to introduce a very strong supporting cast. And if you're keeping track at home right now, you got probably a pissed off Bobby Roode, who storyline-wise has been suspended by MVP indefinitely based off the actions that came about last week. Tweet to Bobby Roode, basically from MVP, saying you need to think longly and carefully about your actions and go from there, basically. So we got Bobby Roode sitting at home, pissed off. We got Austin Aries pissed off. We got Dixie Carter questioning exactly what's going on with MVP. You got EY in there. I mean, you got all these little things that's adding up, which would make a great supporting cast. But the new development that had came about with tonight's main event, just the way things had ended. Folks, let's just take you to the last few precious moments of tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, where we had saw Kenny King come in to attack EY. And we saw MVP basically yelling at Kenny King, asking him what the hell is going on. And apparently Kenny King, he just kind of came clean. He was like, stop BSing. You know exactly what this is. Stop faking. Let's do this already. It's time for you to become the TNA champion. So apparently, we're hearing all this going on. It's kind of sinking in that Kenny King, MVP, they've somewhat been on the same page the past several weeks. Okay? So as all this is going on, we see the next thing happen, which is Kenny King giving MVP a steel chair, MVP going to work on EY. This would soon be followed up by the music of one Bobby Lashley. And you guys are probably saying, where the hell has Bobby Lashley been? Good question. Sparingly has been used here and there, which was another argument that we had made over the past several weeks. What's going on with Bobby Lashley? We hear that he's supposed to be in this for the long haul to become the TNA champion, and yet he disappears. What's going on? And we should mind you that Bobby Lashley conveniently had showed up in his ring gear. I understand it when Impact Wrestling, they do a live episode and then maybe they tape 2-3 episodes back to back right there with the same audience. But, I mean, if you haven't showed Bobby Lashley throughout the whole night, wouldn't it make a little bit of sense to have him show up in street clothes? I mean, you can't put him in a Bobby Lashley logo shirt and just have him come out in jeans and Timberlands. I'm just saying. I just think it's kind of weird to have seen him come out in ring gear, as it looks as though he's trying to help out EY. Yeah, he helped him out all right. He knocked his ass out in the next week, as we saw Bobby Lashley give EY a spear. And that pretty much had ended Impact Wrestling, as we saw MVP hold the TNA World Championship up high and pretty much told EY, I'm going to let you hold on to this a little longer. But yeah, folks, we saw a new stable formed tonight between Bobby Lashley, Kenny King, MVP. Talk about the new black movement, man. I'm loving that. They need to come up with a badass name for that. I'm actually going to work on some names this weekend, and maybe we can share them with Impact Wrestling as far as, look, this is what you need to name this stable or whatever. Surprisingly, not on tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, the Wolves. I'm very curious to see how things come about as far as the relationship with the Wolves and MVP, if they were kind of in on this as well, or if they got blindsided by this. I can't wait to see how that's going to come about. But, man, this new stable, I'm loving it right now. I can't complain one little bit, man. I must admit the direction that they're kind of going right now. It's really making the road to Slammiversary an interesting one, although based on some of the suggestions that I had made this past Tuesday night for Impact Wrestling and setting up the whole EY versus MVP, there's still a couple of more, I guess, dots that need to be X'd out, or what's the saying? There needs to be some boxes that needs to be X'd off or checked off, but I think they're off to a really good start. I must admit that. Overall, tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, definitely a very solid episode. I'll admit that. Very good. You know, it made skipping out on some of the NBA action worthwhile. I will admit that. I want to hear what you guys have to say with regards to tonight's TNA Impact Wrestling. So feel free to post those comments below. And once again, if you're enjoying our recap and review so far, go out of your way, give this piece a thumbs up. You can also share this a number of ways, Google Plusing it, retweeting it, Facebooking it. One of the many ways you can spread a good word about us. Christopher Daniels, I want to share some news with you guys with regards to that. I actually had the luxury of sitting down with him earlier this week for a face-to-face interview. It was video to video, and it was freaking awesome. And I'm actually in post-production with it right now. I'm going to be mixing it up, and I will actually have it be uploaded here to YouTube in just a little bit. Pretty much as soon as we're done, I'm going to just splice it up together and upload it. So if you're having a hard time sleeping tonight, you know, you're going to be up a little bit, check it out. Let me know what you guys think of it. But it was a really great interview. It was a great honor to be able to sit down, chat with him. I was able to talk it up with him for like about 30 minutes. To those of you that had submitted questions to me to ask Daniels, I did ask them. If I didn't get to your question, I humbly apologize. Maybe I didn't get it in time. But yeah, man, it was some great stuff. Let me know what you guys think once we upload that. As far as TNA wrestling news, not really too much has been going on since last we were on the air. One thing I want to share with you guys is I actually had secured tickets to go to Impact Wrestling in New York City the second out of the third day that they're going to be out there in New York. So I'm actually going to be going to the live episode of Impact Wrestling that Thursday night. I got some pretty decent seats too. I wish I could have taken advantage of the first, the first two rows, because when tickets were available via the pre-sale, you could have got them. But I waited a couple of days extra. I think I did pretty good though, because I got I'm in the third row. Yeah, I'm in the third row, and the ring's just bam right there. So I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have some really good camera shots and everything like that. But I'm very proud to say to you guys that the RCWR show is hitting the road, baby, and we're gonna be showing you all the great sights in New York City. I'm definitely gonna be doing my best to share with you all my TNA experience. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that maybe I might be able to score an interview or two with maybe Dixie Carter or some of the folks on the roster. So keep your fingers crossed, hope for the best. But yeah, man, I can't wait. You can actually go to Facebook and you can actually see where I'm going to be sitting. So special shout out to you guys that's going to be going to the tapings and live events there. If you're going to be going, you know how I look. Feel free to give me a wave or walk up to me. I'll gladly chat with you for a few minutes, man. No problem. TNA wrestling news. One thing I thought was very interesting. It looks like there is current development going on for another TNA mobile video game, and it looks pretty damn good. I don't know if you guys have played the last one that was available for mobile devices, but this one, as far as the graphics go, I'm seeing it in early development right now, and it looks pretty freaking on point. We actually have the links on our Facebook page. Check it out. Let me know what you guys think, but I think they're off to a really good start. You know, I was telling folks in the forums and TNA Insider that this is a game right here that really made me want to dust off the TNA Impact Wrestling game that came out on game consoles. I got mine on Xbox 360, and I've got to like be one of like maybe 100 people that unlocked all achievements for that game. You know, so it's kind of like, yay, but it's kind of like, don't be bragging about that too much because the game wasn't that good. But, you know, if you strip away some of the silly game mechanics, gameplay-wise, that was going on with it and everything, you just take it for what it was worth. It was actually a pretty damn good game, and they were spot on with the graphics. I mean, they made like one of the best Booker T's I've ever seen in the video games, because there was a lot of SmackDown versus Raw where it just kind of seemed like, what the hell, this isn't Booker T. You know, they either made him too light, too dark, too African looking, you know, just weird how they were doing it. But yeah, man, check it out when you guys get a chance. Looks like it's doing pretty good. We're hearing rumblings, and take this with a grain of salt, that there was like this big fiasco that had went down at a recent TNA meeting where the production crew had threatened to walk off because they were unsatisfied with their pay. As it turns out, they were either being paid too little or they hadn't been paid in a significant amount of time, and that they were threatened that they were threatening to walk off studios like in the middle of a live taping, basically, or something to that effect. And we're hearing that apparently the powers that be, they paid a majority of the folks in production. Take that for what it's worth. Take it with a grain of salt. Hernandez, Big Super Mex Hernandez, he officially was released from TNA Wrestling, I believe, late last week, beginning of this week. And he pretty much had said on Twitter that, hey, TNA, thanks for the 8 years that I was with you all. A lot of good, some bad, but overall can't complain. But yeah, Hernandez, in case you might have missed it, you didn't know, looks like he's officially parted ways with TNA Wrestling. Other than that, not really too much else has been going on since last we were on the air with you guys. As far as TNA Wrestling news, it's been relatively quiet. Kurt Angle, of course, he tore his ACL. He now has a YouTube channel. He's got the whole Instagram thing hooked up. He promises that, like, on a consistent weekly basis, he's going to be updating fans on his rehab progress, and just the strong indications that's going on right now. A lot of people feel that Kurt Angle is definitely done with the TNA organization, that at this point he's just going to be working on his rehab, get himself back up to 100%, and who knows, man, maybe we might see him go on over to GFW. And contrary to what some of you all may feel, as I see this question being raised, why would Kurt Angle go work for Jeff Jarrett and his new promotion, knowing that Jeff Jarrett just basically came in and woosked his woman away from him? Let's not get it twisted. Kurt Angle is happily married. You know, he's got a new woman, had so for a couple of years now. He actually, whether you all are aware of it or not, he actually has a healthy relationship with Karen and Jeff. And even Kurt has admitted that when him and Karen were kind of going all nutty on each other towards the end, there was a lot of drugs and other stuff that was going on that was really messing with his head and everything. So I just thought I'd mention that to you guys, because I see a lot of you all are like, him going to GFW, that doesn't make any sense, that's stupid. He has a healthy relationship, and really think about it, guys. Karen is like the mother to, like, what, 2, 3 of his kids or whatever. So of course there's going to be some type of a relationship there. I mean, just because two people are no longer together, it doesn't mean that they can't do good business with one another, especially if everybody is going to be able to walk away making serious money. Now, I'm not saying the GFW thing, Global Force Wrestling, I'm not saying that's locked, because WWE could also be out there, you know. Only time will tell, but strong indications are pointing that Kurt Angle may be done with TNA Wrestling. We actually talked about this on Tuesday night, and I have a great excerpt that I want you guys to listen to. We'll probably have that uploaded maybe before this weekend comes about. Get you guys' take on it and follow up on what y'all have to say on our weekend edition of the RCWR show. But other than that, that's pretty much it as far as TNA Wrestling news. I think we kind of brought up all the very valid points that y'all need to know about. So on that note, let's go on ahead and let's get to you guys' comments and let's see what you all have to say with regards to tonight's Impact here. Look at your comments here. We'll take it from the bottom, and we will work our way to the top. I got to load this bad boy up here, so give me a second here, folks. And for those of you that might not notice, our YouTube account is now linked to our Google page. If you guys haven't been checking out our Google page, you really should. You should definitely go out of your way to bookmark that, because we're always posting some pretty cool stuff for you guys to check out. Let me see what's going on here. We got it loading up still. Bear with me, guys. There we go. And hey, we got a decent amount of comments coming in here. That's good. I won't promise I'll read all of you all's comments, but I'll do the best that I can to get to what you guys are saying. Let's see. Reggie, makes sense. TNA is doing the Black Evolution angle. MVP, Triple H, Kenny King, Randy Orton, and I guess Bobby Lashley is Big Dave Batista, right? You know, I so wasn't trying to go there, but it does come off that way, doesn't it? I'm trying to enjoy it for all it's worth, though, because just think about it this way. Other than the Nation of Domination, right? When was the last time you saw an all-black wrestling stable? Just really think about it. When was the last time? You don't even have to think WWE or TNA. If you want, you can hit me up with any wrestling promotion. And if it was something that was most recent, we'll run with it. But, I mean, just really, really think about it. When was the last time you had a really popular all-black stable, aside from Nation of Domination? You know? Or Men on a Mission or whatever, you know? I hate to go that whole WWE comparison, but I mean, if we're going to call a spade, we're going to call it for what it's worth. It does seem like a watered-down version, but you know what? I'm actually going to sit on my hands and wait and see how this continues to be played out, because it may go in a direction that might not even be like Evolution, you know what I'm saying? And if we are going to go that Evolution route, then who's going to be Ric Flair? Mike Tenay? That would be interesting. Jason, what the hell was up with Menagerie? I'm just going to start calling this group Menage a Trois, because I have a hard time pronouncing their damn name. Menagerie? I'm just going to say Menage a Trois. Dancing and flexing, diving on balloons in the ring for 10 minutes. What the F was that garbage TNA put out tonight? Jason, I'm not disagreeing with you, my man. I felt the exact same way. I was very, like, what I said earlier, you know, if I'm there at Orlando Studios, I can only imagine how many people were looking at that particular segment, and they were like, what the hell is this? And they just, like, walked out. Now, unfortunately, you can't really do that if, like, maybe they pull this stunt in New York, because you're paying for your ticket. So it's like either you sit there and go through the crap, or you go take a bathroom break, we'll get you some more beer, hot dog, or whatever. But, I mean, yeah, I agree with you, man. You're not going to get any argument here, man. I definitely thought that was very, as Spock would say from Star Trek, most peculiar. Wall Street, what's up, buddy? Maybe I'm a traditional old-school wrestling fan, but this is what I hated about Krugen and the oddities in the 90s WWF. I hate things that make wrestling look phony or look stupid, and that's what the Menage a Trois did. I can't stand it. And Crazy Steve argued with me on Twitter about it. Are you serious, FX? Dude, I gotta read the transcript of your conversation that you had with him. Do me a favor so you don't have all of your personal business put out there. If you could send me a private inbox via YouTube, hit me up and let me know your Twitter handle so I can actually read it. I won't retweet it or anything, but just forward to me your Twitter handle so I can read that for you. And because I think that'd be some good stuff to share with the audience on our weekend edition. Don't worry, I'll leave your name out of it and all that so you don't get any hate stuff coming your way. Or you can hit me up on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. Eugene, I wonder if Sam Shaw will be Gunner's tag team partner to cash in the tag team championship suitcase. There is that briefcase, isn't there? I thought that was already cashed in, though. You're telling me those guys still got it? Damn, if that's the case, wow. Punisher, Bully Ray and Dixie Carter's storyline and all the Jerry Springer storyline that they do is the reason the company is in trouble. They should be focused on wrestling and storylines that make sense. Mike, to be honestly, poor show tonight. Max, man, I like the Magnus storyline. It makes you wonder how far they can push it. Solid knockout match. The Menage a Trois spot was beyond crappy, but I'm going to go hold my judgment on this for the moment. It pains me to say it, but MVP and EY had a pretty good match tonight. Why does it pain you? I don't get that. Why would it pain you to admit that EY and MVP had a really good match? My one bone to pick watching tonight, though, made it clear how many stars TNA is letting go on the sidelines. Aries, Samoa Joe, Jeff Hardy being Hardy, Kenny, King, and Lashley, until King and Lashley appeared tonight. Anyways, I thought the show was decent. I rated a 7.5. Wall Street had a little bit more to say, folks. It's sad to say that I've almost given up on TNA wrestling. Look at the Menage a Trois. Crazy Steve and the Menage a Trois are making a mockery out of the sport of professional wrestling. I know I'm probably irking the hell out of you guys that's like, it's not Menage a Trois, man. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm just going to continue to call it that because there is some strong sexual references that's going on there, in particular when Rebby comes out. So I'm going to have fun calling this stable the Menage a Trois. So nah. Let's see what else we got right here. And after the argument I just had with Crazy Steve on Twitter, I'm not impressed with the Menage a Trois. Once again, FX, my man, you've got to hook me up with your Twitter handle so I can see this exchange that you had with him. This much FX is revealing because Star-Lord was kind of curious as well. FX says, I asked on Twitter who in the world he was. He replied, I'm the guy who gets paid to be on TV. You know what? I don't have to be on TV to be paid to be more productive than him. Woo-wee, how you really feel, my man? Some of you feel that the home invasion did not go that well. Star-Lord, Crazy Steve, and Captain Comic, two of the all-time worst gimmicks in the last 10 years, debuting within weeks of each other. Ha ha ha! It's sad that they had to make Captain Cosmic just for Camacho to get a win. Star-Lord will continue. I can't watch TNA without Chris Sabin. He was my favorite thing about the promotion from the first time I turned it on in elementary school. It's beyond screwed up how TNA does business these days. Guys like Sabin and Styles have given not only their careers but a chunk of their lives to the company, and none of them are set as they should financially be because of it. The poor guys get treated like how running backs in the NFL do now. I can't think of any guys in the modern day WWE era who put in that much effort to the company and was with them that long and wasn't at least somewhat set for life by the company. I know TNA doesn't have WWE money. On the contrary, they do. But damn, they just threw guys who gave them the majority of their wrestling careers to the indies and to be less underpaid than they already are TNA and don't care because Dixie's slowly getting rid of all the people who would. The people who called out dumb crap like ever giving Kevin Nash or Scott Hall and any other of Triple H's friends he currently wasn't speaking to a paycheck because he wouldn't. Al Snow said he couldn't even make a living working there. Read a couple more comments here from you guys. Tess Marker, that's the other name that should be getting ready to come back soon on top of Taryn Terrell. If they can get ODB back in there too, that'd be awesome as well. And FX, you brought up a lot of good points, man. I've got to read this last one you made. I'm sorry, but that Menage a Trois segment made Kazarian look like an idiot and made the show look really, really bad. A lot of you guys are pretty fired up about this whole Menage a Trois stable with Mike Knox and Rebby there, man, and Crazy Steve. You know, I really feel you guys. Like I said, man, that was a very, very odd segment. I don't ever want to see them do anything like that again. Here's an idea, though. You got Willow, and you got the Menage a Trois. That would seem to be some pretty interesting, you know, if you kind of think about it. They would go hand in hand together. It's like chocolate and peanut butter. I think, I don't know, maybe I'm way off on that one, but if we're going to go this whole bizarre, silly Rob Zombie route, kind of cool Rob Zombie route, I say really jazz it up and make it worthwhile. I don't know, guys. I mean, y'all don't think maybe you're being a little bit too critical about how the segment had played out? I mean, granted, the whole Crazy Steve spot, that was just, I could have done without it. But, they're kind of rubbing off on me in a good way. I'll say this much. It sucks that with a guy like Rob Terry, who has such a freaking amazing physique, I'm still amazed, because we've been doing this since like late 2011. I'm still amazed that this guy has not even held the TNA championship. You just look at a guy like him and you're like, why isn't he the TNA champion? It just seems like the proper time and energy has not been put into him. And I just think it sucks right now that he's just going around strutting his muscles in a mask. I mean, in case you guys haven't figured it out, that is him under that mask. That's part of the Menage a Trois group there. So this weekend, we've got the RCWR show. Check that out. It's going to be on this Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll go all over the place, cover the very latest in wrestling, entertainment headlines, beyond. You know how we do it. Make sure you check that out. And special shout out to those of you that's trying to access the Christopher Daniels interview on the downloads. For some weird reason, and my emails have gone like unreplied by Stitcher, they are running with the original show that we did. I actually had remixed it. I included Daniel's interview at the very end. So at this point, my message to you guys that want the Daniel's interview, what I'm going to do for you guys is we'll upload the video that I did with him on YouTube in just a little bit. But then probably, if not tonight, definitely before the weekend is out, I'm actually going to just upload the interview itself in audio format for you all to download, check out for your listening pleasure, because I don't know what's going on with Stitcher right now, but I can tell you that thanks to you, we're now on iHeartRadio. Our transition there is complete. The profile page and all that looks sweet. Please do us a huge favor and follow us on iHeartRadio. Add us to your favorites and all that. It only takes a few seconds, as we're definitely going to be working on unique ways to try to make the show be live through iHeartRadio. And we're also going to try to work on ways on giving you all unique shows exclusively accessible through iHeartRadio. So please go out of your way and follow us on there. And once again, for all of you all that helped make it possible for us to get on iHeartRadio, I do thank you guys in advance. And for all the very latest on wrestling news and beyond, our website is back. I'm promising to dedicate a little bit of time every week to post new content on our website at infinityOneProductions.com. So check it out when you guys get a chance. You can buy RCWR Show t-shirts from our website there. So any size you could think of, head there, buy. Very easy. We take care of the shipping, all right? And that's going to do it. For all the very latest in wrestling news and beyond, follow us on Twitter, RCWR Show, Facebook, Infinity One Productions. You know about the website. We got episodes available for you all to check out, not only here on YouTube, but on iTunes, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. Good God, man, we're everywhere. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. And that's going to do it. Until I hear from you guys next go round, please be safe and be kind to one another. I'll see you all next go round. Everybody, take care.